guys. My name is Patty Armstrong. I'm the Communications Director here at Taos County Economic Development Corporation. And TCEDC's mission is to strengthen the food systems, land stewardship, water resources, and cultural traditions of northern New Mexico. No small feat. Jason here is the Rural Economic Development Program Manager for the Center of Southwest Culture. I'm really excited to delve into this topic. I think not enough people know how to structure their farm or ranch like a true business, and all the tax implications that come with it. So thank you for coming. Thank you for learning with us. At the end, please hand in your evaluation forms. Those help us with our grant reporting and help us to put on better workshops next time. Not that this won't be great. Take it away.
All right, well, thank y'all for having me. My name is Jason Gonzalez, and I'm the Rural Economic Development Program Manager with Center of Southwest Culture. We're a nonprofit that's been around for 35 years. We're based in Albuquerque. I work remotely. I live near Villanueva State Park, between Santa Fe and Las Vegas. And there's a lot of farmers that we irrigate our potatoes in that valley. Our goal with the Center of Southwest Culture is to help rural communities. Our population of focus is Mexicano, Latino, and Indigenous people in rural areas, but we help anyone in the food movement and in the rural business development movement. You know, a lot of times our rural areas, they get forgotten about. Or maybe a nonprofit, they have a little bit of money for a little bit of time and they come in for a year and you don't see them again, or there's no follow-up. And so we've been around, and this is going to be our focus, you know, for as long as we're around. And with my position, right now what I'm focusing on is helping farmers and ranchers get into agricultural tourism, create farm stands on their property that the community can shop at, and use payment methods like SNAP and EBT, or the Department of Health Senior Nutrition Program. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a farmer's market program where seniors, and there's mothers as well, that get a card that's loaded with some money for the summer, and they can spend it with participating vendors at farmers markets. I'm sure there's several at the Taos Farmers Market and Cuesta. And so that's my area of focus, is helping agriculture have additional revenue streams other than farmers markets. I'm a small farmer myself, and my farm is part of the Approved Supplier Program. I don't know if you've heard of that. But that's an opportunity for you to sell your meats and your fruits and your vegetables to institutions like senior centers, institutions like senior centers and schools, even restaurants, retailers. Because sometimes we live in communities where there's not a farmer's market nearby. And so to have additional markets to sell your crops or your beef or whatever it may be, that's a whole new market, and there's people making substantial amounts of money in that program. It involves a little bit of safety training and just kind of proving that you raise and you package and you store and you transport safely, because the populations, our younger people and our elderly people, are the most immune compromised population. So when you're able to prove that safety and take a few steps, you can become part of that program. You have a question?
Well, related to that, do you have to be USDA approved and inspected and all that good stuff?
Well, all you got to do is your animals have to be processed at a facility that is USDA.
Okay.
You know, there's very few ranchers that do their own processing.
Right.
And there's a huge shortage of processing facilities as well, as you've probably seen. I mean, there's people booked out several months. There's people driving to Colorado. But that's another thing that our center is trying to help. We're partnering up with the Department of Agriculture to try to develop a training program to where there's more processing facilities, because that's a big bottleneck right now. It's an issue, just right along with the traits that we were talking about earlier. So that's who I am, that's what I do. So a farm or a ranch is already a business. If you're exchanging any of your goods for money, then by definition you're a business. And so For some people, it's fine. Let's say you just have a few crops, you go to a farmer's market. Sometimes there's not really a reason to structure a business if that's where you're at and that's where you want to continue to be. Now, there is liability involved, but for somebody bringing a handful of things once a week, it's not always necessary to structure a business, if that makes sense. But the goal today is not for me to tell you to change anything about what you're doing. I'm just going to share my experience and my point of view with some facts, and then from there, you know, take one of my business cards. I can help you with anything that I've been talking about or anything that I will talk about. I can help you through the processes. So why should you choose a business structure? So there are several reasons, but the main ones are taxes, liability, insurance, and the growth of your operation. So just to give you a little bit of history about myself in Taos, I did live in Taos until the end of 2019. I came out here as a manager with the Kroger company with Smith's. And from there in 2018, I went into business for myself. I started a business called Property Unlimited. We did, I managed the maintenance of the Albertson Shopping Center. We did turnover cleans for Airbnbs. We did all the turnover cleans in Angel Fire. We did some in Red River and a bunch of them in, here in Taos as well. And then, of course, COVID happened and everything changed. You know, this was during the height of COVID where we didn't know if half the planet was going to die. Everything was unknown. And so me and my wife worked with the TCEDC and Mercedes very closely, and we started a delivery donut business called Donut Dashers. You may remember it. It wasn't for a very long period of time, but it was a way to stay busy and to stay self-employed. Because the cleaning business, everybody got laid off. We were a legitimate business, so our employees were W-2 employees. We were able to lay off. They were able to get unemployment benefits. And then, of course, during that time, unemployment was paying better than people that were working. I don't know if y'all remember. There was people that didn't want to go back to work because they were making so much money. So anyway, we created Donut Dashers in collaboration with the TCEDC. We would come here, we would make the donuts, and we would deliver them. But I was really impressed with the help that I got from TCEDC, like just from idea to inspection to just making it something that was completely legal, and TCEDC walked us through that. So I will always have a soft spot for this organization because it helped us greatly. It helped us stay afloat because there was no income. Like Airbnbs, hotels, they were all shut down. They were literally not allowed to rent, and so it cut our legs out from under us in terms of the business. But this is a great resource for anyone. You all probably already know, but if you don't know, then I would utilize them as much as you can, because we wouldn't have gone into the business because there's some intimidating paperwork, like every single ingredient, your entire process. Like there's just a lot involved, and Mercedes worked with us very closely to get that done. And so, like I said, you know, if you have an operation now, any kind of a business, and you plan on growing in any way, what I've always done, what I did with the cleaning company, Donut Dashers, and now my little farm, is I went ahead and I formed an LLC right away. Because when you get busy enough to need it, then you're more likely to put it off because you're busy. Even though all of the formation of businesses is 100% online now, from the IRS portion, the Secretary of State, the taxpayer access point, all of the steps can be done from home. And just to kind of put it in context, if you have an hour and about $60 on a card, you can walk away from that computer a complete LLC with the IRS, Secretary of State, taxation and revenue. Those are the three main steps that you take to have a complete LLC. So some people find the thought of the process intimidating because they don't realize it's become so streamlined. Maybe they're talking to an uncle or somebody that tried it in the past and you had to go to this office, that office, that office. It's not like that anymore. So the main business structures are sole proprietorship, limited liability company, LLC, a partnership, and a corporation. Now, a sole proprietorship and an LLC can be very similar in the fact that a single member LLC is taxed the same way that a sole proprietorship is taxed. And that can be a quite high tax bracket. Because Uncle Sam, the government, they are going to want that employer contribution that anybody that's been employed and you look at your check, you see some taxes, right? Well, what you don't know is that the employer paid some too. They pay a portion as well. Well, when you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, well then the IRS wants that employer portion and the portion that comes out of your check. So that can be north of 30%, which can add up. And so one structure that's not mentioned here is something you can do with an LLC is you can create an S corp. And what an S corp does for you is a sole proprietorship, single member LLC, everything that comes in is taxed. It's automatic income. But if you go the S corp route, then you're taxed at a lower rate on your income, and then you can pay yourself and have those employee taxes taken out. So everything you earn isn't that 30+%. Is that making sense? So you're still taxed, you're always going to be taxed, but it's at a lower rate. It doesn't hurt as much in that S corp. A partnership is, so the sole proprietorship, I'm kind of bouncing around, I'm sorry about that. But the pros to a sole proprietorship is it's extremely simple. You're going to default to that. Let's say you go to Taos County, you get yourself a business license. Bam, you're a sole proprietorship right there. And so it's simple, minimal paperwork, but you don't have any layers of protection unless you go and get yourself specific insurance. Your personal assets are at risk. Now an LLC, also simple to form, but you now have a layer of protection. Let's say whatever happens, whatever it happens and you're exposed to a lawsuit. So then your home, your personal assets, they're not at risk. The business is still at risk, whatever assets or money is in that business account, but your personal assets are protected. And that's really, really big. If you're in any business doing any amount of volume, I would always suggest at least an LLC because of that layer of protection.
So you could run an LLC without transferring assets? You could utilize your own personal assets without transferring under the LLC?
Yes, yes. Yeah, so then whatever you purchase with your business bank account is going to be for the business and is going to remain for the business and stay separate from you. But one thing that can put it at risk is if you do a lot of intermingling with your business bank account. Let's say your business bank card, and you go buy some clothes, you go get a haircut, you buy some food, you do all sorts of things that are outside of the scope of things that can be written off through the IRS. Well, now you're making your business account a personal account, and you're blurring the lines. So that's something to be careful for. It says cons are formation paperwork. There is ongoing administrative responsibilities, like say through the Secretary of State, or through the taxpayer access point, which is a different thing from the Secretary of State. Secretary of State is where you form your LLC and your articles of incorporation, but taxpayer access point is a completely different site and organization. So you can set up to pay monthly, quarterly, I think you can even choose yearly, but the smaller time frame that you choose, it's not as big a chunk of money to come up with. And the good thing about the state of New Mexico is they only expect you, any taxes you collect, they want you to give to them. But on food, generally we're not charging tax, so there isn't anything to forward to them. If you're talking about goods or arts and crafts or something that you should be collecting tax on, all they want you to do is just go ahead and forward that to them. Mm-hmm.
Don't you still have to, even though you're not paying tax, you still have to report the income?
You do, yes, but it's perfectly fine to report
It's
zero.
all deductible, basically, if it's all
Right.
food items.
The IRS,
Right.
they want to cut a profit no matter what. Losing money, making money, they don't care. New Mexico, well actually the IRS, if you're losing money and you have the proper write-offs, they won't expect money. I'm sorry, I made a mistake there. But the state of New Mexico is always going to want any taxes you collect to be given to them. But the good thing about crops, beef, or anything like that is it's food, and so you're not collecting tax, but you would still, you're exactly right, you would still report that you had no taxable income, and then you just move on.
Unless they're on the hook, right?
On the hoof, I don't know. You know what, that's a great question.
That's an asset, right? And wouldn't that, it's a balance sheet item, so it would go into your taxes as an asset of the business.
It's not food yet.
Right, you're right. You're exactly right. So you
Yeah.
know what, that's something that I need to, it's something I've never been asked. And so if you take my card, I'll follow up with you on that. Because just to be honest, I hadn't been asked it, and it's a great question. Because while it's alive, it isn't food yet.
Yeah.
So,
Since the USDA processing center is a bottleneck, most of us sell.
right.
Yeah.
And I've got a friend in the valley I live, he's not even gonna process this year because he's getting so much on the hoof because of Mexico being closed down. So he's like, man, I'd rather just go drop them off and get a nice check, you know? I will, just please get my card and I will follow up with you on that. The biggest thing, yeah, go
I
ahead.
have a question.
Of course.
I don't know if this is premature, but it's about the tax, the way this all implicates your tax return. Can you answer a question on that? We already file a Schedule F,
Okay,
but we don't have a separate business set up for the ranch.
sure.
And so if we set up the LLC, which I think we're gonna do this year because next year we're gonna have a much stronger implication for it, but does that require that my tax preparer, I have another business, we have the ranch, we set up the ranch as an LLC, does that require that my tax preparer to file another Schedule C?
I believe so. Yes,
To match the Schedule F, right?
yes, yes. And if your business is, it's always good to have two separate businesses because then you have, if this one is subject to some kind of liability, the other one's still safe. But if they tie in together and you want simplicity, well then you're in the right place. If you're doing like auto mechanics and ranching, you for sure want two separate
I'm
LLCs.
doing accounting and ranching.
Yeah, so then, yeah, those pretty much have to be kept separate. If they don't tie in whatsoever,
Okay.
but then you have extra paperwork, but then you have extra protection too, to have them separated.
Does it come with like extra tax breaks as well? So like I run a sole proprietorship business and I'm running everything basically out of a business structure at the moment on the ranch. And so like on the business I'm running now, I get to write off, say, a pickup truck, right? Once a year, about $10,000.
Right.
In theory, you're gonna buy a truck for the ranch and basically depreciate two assets, one for my sole proprietor business and one for the ranch.
As long as they're separate, I've never heard any reason why not. And it is common to do that.
Because they kind of join back together because I'm still one person, right? But like,
Right. But the fact that they're separate entities, and then I would do LLCs for each one of them, because once again, you're spending very little money to form the LLC, and you're going to be in the same tax structure because you're still a sole proprietor, unless you do the S corp thing. But there's people that have multiple businesses and they have multiple write-offs for each one of them, and there isn't anything wrong with it. The problem comes if you try to double dip. I got a Ford F-250 here and the same Ford F-250
depreciate
there.
the same truck.
Right.
No.
But no, it's perfectly fine.
Good to know.
So a partnership has pros and cons because you're able to, it's two or more people. You have shared labor and investment. They're simple to establish. The cons can be the partner's share liability and there's potential for disagreements. And this is where I always say everything should be in black and white. I don't care if it's your uncle, if it's your brother, your best friend ever. You know, have everything in black and white. Because when things get busy, or real money starts to flow, or whatever it may be, somebody gets in financial trouble, like, hey, we just need to sell, I want to sell my half right now, because I need $100,000. That kind of stuff needs to be in black and white, because it removes any doubt.
There's a lot more paperwork involved with the partnership as well that people don't realize. Like, you have to file the tax return for the partnership before you could do your own tax return because it creates a 1099-K, which is your profit or loss in that partnership. So it gets really crazy with a partnership when it's tax time and people want their paperwork and they want to do their tax returns and you don't have your partnership tax return done yet.
That makes sense, because then
And
those documents, are used for the individual.
Mhm.
See, I'm glad there's someone that has experience in a partnership.
Yeah.
I have never been a part of a partnership. I've always been apprehensive to enter one because of disagreements. But if you have everything spelled out, I would go through a lawyer for sure, and that way you know everything. If there's an accident, this is what happens. If I get in financial hardship and I need to sell, pretty much too bad, right? Because we're not going to give up the business because of something that happened just to you. But when that's not in black and white, you can really run into a lot of problems.
And I push my clients who have talked about partnerships, I push them towards either like a S corp, and then you choose one as the CEO and one as the CFO or whatever, however you want to distribute the responsibilities, but it's a lot easier ultimately.
Thank you. You just taught me some
And a
stuff, you know.
partnership, Yeah.
It's important when you go into business, it's very important to stay on top of all your filings. Because when you get behind on that stuff and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I need to come up with 12 grand. When if you'd have kept up with it, you know, in smaller time frames, it may have been 800 here, 1,800 there, and that way you're not coming up with these large amounts. And there is bookkeeping software or bookkeepers or accountants that can just take care of that weekly or monthly. Like here, I'm going to pay you minus the anticipated taxes and stuff. And that way, it's never even in your possession. You don't even have to think about it.
I'm sorry I'm proselytizing on this subject, but I think any business, anybody that's in any business should make sure they get monthly financial statements from the business by the end of the next month. Because I've been brought in to clean up so many businesses and organizations where nobody had that concept in their brain. And it's
Right.
like, no, you don't understand. You don't get that information, that means you're not on top of whatever's going on in your business or organization financially.
Sure.
And that could cause you a lot of problems.
Sure. Yeah, you should know where every penny's at. And you need to know where your profitability is at so you can adjust your pricing. Otherwise, you know, you're in, you're like, holy we didn't make nothing,
What happened?
or we lost money. But if you're on top of those statements, just like you said, on a monthly basis, you can adjust your pricing, adjust all that stuff. And then, you know, another great reason to form a business is grants. You know, my small farm's got several grants. And I don't know of any grants, I'm sure they're out there, but I don't know of any grants that don't at least ask for an EIN number. If not, your number with the Secretary of State, your articles of incorporation. There's several pieces of paperwork, even for a business bank account, that they're going to want you to have. And grant access is the biggest thing. You know, small farms in New Mexico, New Mexico is very supportive of small businesses, and especially small farmers, because we have such a need. You know, over 90% of our crops are imported. You know, and there's all this beautiful farmland, talented growers, but they're not making an actual business of their operation, or their pricing is not right, and they're just struggling every single year. And a good thing about the approved supplier program is they pay market value. They do not expect you to go wholesale. You name your price. Now, if it's too high, you may not move very much, but they're not expecting Walmart prices or anything even close to that, and it's a huge outlet. So corporations, I've never helped form a corporation, and they're not very common in really small businesses, but it does happen. You know, there's strong liability protection. There's a lot of tax advantages to corporations that I don't know a lot about, but I know there's a whole lot more potential for writing off things that maybe an LLC wouldn't or couldn't. Generally, they're going to have talented accountants because they're a corporation and they've got the cash flow. But it's a lot more complex structure, and there's a lot more administrative requirements. Do you have any experience with corporations?
I do. It's a much more heavy-duty, like, reporting structure for a corporation. And it's a totally different tax return than what you would do as a sole proprietor or an LLC, or partnership even. It's like setting it up is the big thing. It's like making a corporation happen
Right.
is the big.
What kind of volume, it's probably hard to say, but what kind of volume would you suggest you be at, whether it's $1 million a year, half a
You
million?
know, people ask me that over and over and over again. And there is no magic formula,
Mhm.
really, because there's so many components that go into figuring out, you know, what your taxable income ends up being and things like that, you know, it's really hard to say. Like a lot of people in smaller corporations will say, well, at one point, should I turn into an employee rather than taking a draw out of the company or a dividend out of the company? And I'm like, there is no magic formula.
Mhm.
You have to really work with your tax preparer.
Right.
And they have to be familiar with your numbers enough to say, oh, you know, this is going to be a heavy implication for you. You need to change how you structure this. So, I don't know is the answer.
Sure.
I think it's on a case-by-case basis.
Right. Your average farmer, rancher, it probably isn't necessary, or is that your opinion or not?
Again, it's the size of your operation.
Sure.
If you have thousands of head of cattle, you
Right.
know, that's a different story than my little ranch that has 5 goats, you know. It's not gonna, we're not.
It's
gonna
not
be-
necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just way too much
Sure.
for our little operation.
Sure.
So,
So then, just as a small activity, I'm just going to ask you. So you're a rancher, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry I didn't get to meet you.
I'm sorry, I was late.
That's okay.
I'm Elisa, and yeah, I grew up on a ranch, and we have a little ranch, but we also have multiple businesses, and my husband and I, so
Okay.
trying to decide which structure is best for us.
Okay. Perfect. And then you are an accountant and a rancher too, huh?
yes.
Okay. I'm so glad we have an accountant here. It's awesome. So, you know, once again, you may feel like your operation is smaller than you need to structure, right? But if you're planning on doing this for a living, structure as soon as you can. Because if it's a side gig, a hobby, and you don't even know if you're going to be doing it next year or the year after, you know, I would still make sure you're protected. But if you want to do it long-term or you want to scale, just go for a structure right away. And then it makes it more real. If you don't, any business I've gone into, I've created a logo first because it makes it tangible to me, you know. And even though you may be doing it a year, 2 years from now, anytime you take some little bitty step, it makes it more real. It gets you closer to that goal of making it something real. And you're going to grow into it. You know, if you make the big plans right away, then that's already in your mind, and you're just going to work towards it, rather than, well, as it happens, I'll do it, or as I need to, I'll do it. Because just like you said, if you form an LLC right away, first of all, you can choose the date you want it to start. Let's say you're like, I'm going to form it today, but I'm not even going to be official until January 2027. You can set that date, and then there's nothing expected between now and then because you're just being ahead. But if you form it now and then roadblocks happen, or you know, you just report that zero income. It's okay to do that. There's nothing wrong with it, and then you're being compliant, and you're not going to be expected to pay anything off of zero. There's no agency from the IRS to the state of New Mexico. Nobody's going to expect you to cough up money if you haven't earned any. As long as you let them know you haven't earned any.
How long do they tolerate that?
I think the IRS is 3 years. I believe the IRS will let you report a loss or nothing for 3 years before they're like, what's going on here? Like, why are you even still doing this, you know? And so,
Sometimes it behooves you to file the loss, though,
yeah,
depending on your structure.
right, right. So once again, let's say you're a rancher, you're a farmer, and you lose, you make nothing. So the state of New Mexico, if your product is food, right, they don't need the taxes, right? Because you haven't collected any, so they don't expect any. And the IRS wants to tax you off of profit, generally speaking. So then if you say, okay, I lost money to the IRS, right there you're not paying. And in the state of New Mexico, you're not paying because you haven't collected anything. My understanding is the state only wants you to pass on what you've collected from your customers. That's a great question. I can't wait to get an answer to your question about the live animal. Because it is an asset, right? It's $1,000 or it's 15 or, so that's a great question. I wish I had an answer to it, but I just hadn't been asked it yet. But it's a great question. Right now, I just had a question for you on, or do you ranch and farm, or it's ranching? Ranch and farm? You grow crops?
Right now, we didn't grow anything this year. It's just been too dry, so we're trying to get an ag well to expand on that.
Sure. And right now, do you have any structure?
I'm an LLC right now.
You have an LLC? Okay, okay.
We have a few, but I'm kind of wondering now if a corporation's the better way to go.
Well, one thing, I don't know if we talked about it before you came in, but you can add an S corp to that LLC, which changes your tax structure. Because as an LLC, it's just automatic income. It hits the bank account, it's income. An S corp, it is still income, but it's at a lower rate. It's not at that sole proprietorship tax rate. And then, you know, when you pay yourself out of it, if you choose to, then of course you pay your employee taxes and employer taxes. But I haven't heard of a situation that the S corp taxes are not less than the sole proprietor.
I would let everybody know that to have a corporate tax return done is a lot more expensive than a sole proprietor. We'll just tell you that.
Okay. Well, see, that's something to consider.
And out of curiosity, does anybody do holding accounts? I have a lot of clients that tell me to create a holding account and put all my LLCs in that holding account and operate a management account of the holding account.
I've heard all of that. The only thing I've heard of in terms of that is I've heard of people doing that wrong and being incorrect on what they think. But I'm just covering the basics, and the basics is I don't know in detail about a holding account, but that's another thing that I'll study and I'll prepare for on my next presentation, because that's a great question.
It comes up a lot. It's like, who's doing it?
Right, like there's an account and that money's left alone, and until you do something with it is when it's taxed. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Well, kind of. It's a management account, so all the businesses are owned by that holding account, and we basically pay the management account to run the fees of managing the other accounts.
It's like an umbrella
Yeah.
for
Okay.
all the little LLCs. It's like what's a good comparison? I'm trying to think of a real holding account. Like a lot of food corporations have become holding accounts because they just absorb all these different businesses into their big corporate structure, right? So it's a similar, she's not actually merging all the businesses, she's just putting them all under a big umbrella.
That's a great question. Will you please take my card and let me
Sure.
pick your brain sometime? Because that's another great question. This is two questions that I've never been asked, but they're extremely relevant, and I'll be asked them again. So I need to educate myself on them, but I'll let you know as I learn.
Yeah, I'll take your card, Paula.
Okay.
Because, yeah, that's what we're running into now, because my husband is a contractor, I'm a realtor, and then we have the ranch, and then my breeding program, and the farm. And everyone's like, holding account, so, yeah, just learning those structures.
But you know, if big corporations do it, it seems like it could be done on a smaller scale, but I'll find out and I'll follow up for sure. I think I need to do some Zoom calls with some CPAs that have specific experience in those areas. And that way I'll give you, not like a probably or a I think so, you know, I want to give you solid answers.
And I always recommend they go to two people, right? To go to a lawyer who does business creation kind of work and setting up corporations and a CPA, because one knows the legal aspects of setting up the entity and the other knows the financial aspects of setting up the entity and how that would affect you in a tax return or whatever.
I'll set something like that up with each of, just like you're saying,
Yeah.
and I'll have solid answers for you. I will. Did you hear me talk about the Approved Supplier Program?
I'm sorry.
So the Approved Supplier Program is a great program in the state of New Mexico for ranchers and for growers. And it's an opportunity for you to be able to sell your crops or your beef, whatever it may be, to institutions like schools and senior centers who have grant money specifically to purchase from New Mexico approved suppliers. This is a whole different budget from what they order from Cisco Foods or whatever it may be. It has to be spent on product from approved suppliers. So there's some safety training. Center of Southwest, right now the New Mexico Farmers Marketing Association is the only one that offers that training. But the Center of Southwest Culture, who I work for, we're developing training as well. We're streamlining it. And so for instance, through the NMFMA, right now you're given a risk assessment. After your Tier 1 and Tier 2 training that you can do online or in person, this risk assessment you're sent home with. And it's a long document with lots of questions that you may not know the answer to. So what we're going to do is go to your property with you, and we'll do that risk assessment together. And then from there, when you're approved, you have those other markets open. I have experience opening up and starting farm stands, and I started a farmer's market in the valley that I live. So I know the process of becoming eligible to accept SNAP and EBT benefits. That's can be an intimidating process, but I've been through it, and I can help anybody do it as well, to where you have a whole new income stream on your property.
That's huge for you.
Yeah, it really, really is. There's a lot of communities that you're going to travel an hour or more to the closest farmer's market, and then is it going to rain? Is it going to be busy? Is it going to be dead? Am I going to take home 75% of what I brought? And then I pay my table fee and my gas money, my time. I'm losing money on something that's not a sure thing. Well, the approved supplier program, it gives you a sure thing. And in terms of the beef, last year I was a food hub coordinator with an organization called Ogallala Commons. And I was also still working for CSC, but what I'm getting at is there was a huge shortage of ground beef. There was senior center, everybody wanted ground beef, and it was sold out for months at a time sometimes. So there's a huge demand. There's a senior center here that purchases, the school probably purchases from someone, and a lot of this stuff is coming out of Albuquerque. Some of it is coming as far away as Silver City, because there's not a lot of approved supplier growers in Taos County, San Miguel County, Mora County, Guadalupe County. There's a huge shortage. There's a really, really huge need, and it's a convenient way. You know, maybe you meet up with them somewhere, maybe they come by your ranch or whatever, and you hand them those boxes, and most of the food hubs will pay you, and they'll worry about getting their payment from the senior centers and schools, and they'll pay you quicker than they get paid if they have the cash flow. But you can also hook up directly with those schools and get paid directly from them. You don't have to go through a third party, but it can be convenient.
Do most of these programs still consider bison and quail to be like a game?
I can make a phone call right now about the bison. I have never heard of anyone selling quail, but that doesn't mean it's... I know that they made some poultry changes, and I'm sure quail falls into poultry, I don't know for a fact. But a year or two ago, poultry was very, very loose. As long as you did under a certain amount of business, you could process your own poultry and you could sell it. But I know there's new regulations in place that's making that a little bit harder. Eggs are still pretty loose as far as I know. They're wanting people to start grading, but it's not a law yet.
Do you know anything about rabbit?
As far as I know, rabbits are not eligible for the institutional sales. But I'm getting great questions today. So I'll follow up on all of this. I'm glad y'all are asking these questions, because other people were thinking it, but they hadn't asked, right? So thank y'all for asking. This next presentation is about social media marketing for agricultural businesses. Social media, I think, is the #1 underutilized marketing in agriculture. Most farms and farmers and vendors at farmers markets do not have a social media page. Some people just aren't into it, or they actually dislike it specifically, but it's free advertising and everybody's faces are in their phones, or most people's. So it's a free way for you to be able to market your business. And then, like the business that I had here, the Property Unlimited and Donut Bashers, my little farm that I have now, it wouldn't have done the business that it did without social media marketing. And so I've got about 8 years experience in marketing my own businesses through social media. The little farmer's market that I started in the valley, I do a lot of social media. And it's a huge way to get your product or service in front of people. And you can pay for advertising to get extra advertising, but most people do it completely free. And so that's where a logo really pays off, and a nice social media page, and then consistent posting. It's a huge equalizer between large companies and just a single person operation.
That's how I found this class.
What's that?
That's how I found the class.
So there you go, there you go. Do any of the three of y'all have a social media page for your business? You do? You do? Have you noticed traction from it, or have you been able to consistently post?
Some weeks, yes.
Some weeks, yes.
That's not hard.
It is hard. It's so hard to find the time, because you're like, man, I could sit here on my phone, or I could go out there and do something, and you're going to choose the task. But when you're able to get the mindset, okay, this is just as important as anything else, and if you're able to carve out the time, it pays off a lot. It pays off a whole lot. You know, your farm already has a story, but social media is how people find you, other than the people that you know. It's how additional people find you. Your content can be any number of, the sky's the limit on your content. It can be you on video talking about your operation. It can be pictures of your product. It can be text information along with the picture about how to get your product, where to find it, pricing. You can build hype around something that's happening. Like if you're about to be packed, you know, oh man, my ground beef will be packaged in a week. I'll have grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef, $10 a package. Here's where you get it. You can, grant reviewers do often Google you. So let's say you're a business. You have your EIN, you apply for a grant, and they have a space for your website, and you're like, blank. If they have a space for your social media, it's blank. If everything in there is blank, it's going to give them a perception sometimes that you don't take your business as seriously as others do. And so the people that are full-fledged, they've got a website, they've got a social media page information, then that moves you up in that grant review process, because it shows you're taking your business more serious. Also, having LLC, INC, whatever it may be, that helps too. So your competition is not other farms, your competition is in visibility. Because there's room for there to be so many more of us in the farming world. We're nowhere near being too competitive. We will never reach a point that we're too competitive, because there's not enough people entering the space. On my small farm, I try to post 5 times a week. And sometimes it's something really simple, like something will be on my feed from another farm, or some nutritional information, or something about a farmer's market being important. And I'll just share that, because at least I'm posting something and I'm keeping fresh. Because I've gone 2-week periods several times that I posted nothing, and then I would post and there wouldn't be any reactions. And you've got to build that traction up again. And have any of y'all heard of Meta Business Suite? So Meta Business Suite is a place where you can post to Instagram and Facebook from that same app. It's a free app. It's from Meta. It's from Facebook. But you link your Facebook and your Instagram. And so now anything you post from there goes to both right away. And you can schedule posts. Let's say it's a Sunday night, and you're like, man, I got an extra hour. I'm going to set up my whole week. So this is going to hit Monday at 10 a.m., this is going to hit Tuesday at 10 a.m., Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you're done for the whole week. And so there's another option, it's called Buffer, and that will allow you to do YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. The only drawback of Buffer is that you can't tag. So then you can schedule, you can post to multiple platforms, but then if you want to tag, you would go into that post when it goes live, and you would tag, at TCEDC, at Taos Farmers Market, at this, at that. But some people don't tag, and it helps, but it's not a deal breaker if you don't tag anybody.
When you mean tag, you mean linking in your account, not like a hashtag?
Not a hashtag, but a tag, like the @ symbol,
Yeah, okay.
and then let's just use TCEDC. So then now, some TCEDC page viewers can see your post, so you reach a wider audience when you tag. But it's not always necessary. So, I already did that one, sorry about that. So what to post? You can post behind the scenes. I post anything from if I just planted something, or if something just sprouted, or if a tomato is getting ready to ripe. You know, the sky is the limit as long as you post something that is relevant. Whether it's sharing a post that's relevant to your industry, something that you're doing, something you're working on, your plans, your outlets, like it really, the sky's the limit, like I said, educational, your operation, where to find you, something about your farm. And people like to see you mix it up, but generally speaking, if it's a video, they like to see a short video that gets right to the point. I used to, how many of y'all have an iPhone? So have you ever used iMovie? It's already on your phone if you have an iPhone. It's called iMovie. And from there, you can load multiple pictures and videos together, and it'll lump them together, and you can shorten each video or even picture view, and you can add music, you can add text. There's all sorts of other platforms, but I've found that really simple to use. But if you make a video about you harvesting something, don't have it show you walking over to it, bending over, harvesting. Just get right to the point. You're pulling it out of the ground. You can make a 30-second video 7 seconds. Or if you have a collage, you should always try to keep that under 1 minute. And there's really good analytics on Facebook when you have a business page. You can hit your analytics. Let me go to my last ad real quick, or my last post. So right here, I did a presentation for the Acequia Association. Or let's see this one. So this post had 118 views. There was 5 clicks, there was 4 reactions. 58% of, let's see, 53% were women ages 35 to 44. 14% were from 45 to 54. 12% was 65 plus. And then there's an other for people that don't report that or whatever it may be. So that post was 58% women, 12% men. So now I get to think of, okay, how do I appeal to men more? Why was that appealing more to women than to men? And you'll see posts that are the opposite. More men than more women. So do I want to post twice? Do I want to have some kind of manly song on this one and some kind of a more feminine song on this post, and then I get the best of both worlds? You can really drill into it on that. And you can look how many people are viewing it for 3 seconds. You can see how many people are watching the whole video. And that can tell you, okay, there's not very many people watching it through. Why is that? Now some people are just that way. They scroll, they scroll. So it's not something to take completely to heart, but you can have a lot of really valuable information off of your insights. Those are available in the business suite, but also just off your regular business page. There's valuable information. Consistency beats perfection. That's something that I've had to really tell myself, because I used to think, you know, if I can't make this impressive post, I'm just not going to post. And then 8 days go by and I haven't posted, and my relevance has dropped. Like I said before, already twice, just repost something. Do something. Check in. Sometimes I'll just say, hey, to all of our customers, thank you. You're the reason that we even exist. And then some kind of a little clip art or something I pull off the internet that says thank you. There's always something you can post, and it is always better than not posting, because you stay relevant. You can use captions. You can batch content. You can schedule posts in advance, like I was telling you. And your phone is fine. And one thing that I'm having to tell myself is I'm landscape. I'm like this. But everybody views their phone like this. They don't want to have to flip their phone, let it go landscape. So the more content you create in a portrait with your phone straight up and down, the better. Especially for TikTok. because TikTok doesn't even have landscape. So your phone is fine. You don't gotta go buy a fancy camera or video camera. A blurry photo of real garlic beats a stock image. People know stock images, so try to use your own pictures if you can. If you can put a caption. I don't make the time to do captions in the picture. I just let my text in the post tell the story, but caption can really get you even more views. So I'm trying to up my game and have more captions. There's even captioning software. Sometimes they get words wrong. You've probably seen other people post, and the translation onto the text isn't always accurate. People don't care much. But once again, consistency. And posts to community groups. I'm sure there's more than a few Taos local groups. When you post in those, you reach a much bigger audience as well. And when you're posting, the option is right there, where you can pick groups, bam, 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 you pick a few groups, and you post and it just goes to everywhere. So turning followers into customers is kind of the main goal of social media. Because, like for instance, Donut Dashers. When I would post, I would make sure I began the post with the word Taos, because I had a good logo, and sometimes you're going to see things out of Albuquerque, who knows, Arizona, Colorado. So I wanted to tell Taoseños that this is a Taos business. So I would specifically put Taos, get your fresh organic donuts delivered, because I wasn't getting any views in Taos, because I think people didn't know about us, period, because we had no physical location. So that's a good point. You know, if it's Cuesta, first word Cuesta, first word Taos, first word Peñasco, and then you're going to grab attention, and people are going to know right away, oh, this is somebody local. You can promote a CSA. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been a part of a CSA or considered starting a CSA. I'm kind of jumping all over, but that's community-supported agriculture, where people can get a weekly box, monthly box of different sizes. And that is another income stream above and beyond farmers markets as well. You can collaborate with other farmers and ranchers, or you can just do one all on your own. And that's something that's part of my job too, is to help communities, farmers or ranchers, build a CSA. Respond to every comment, most definitely. If somebody asks, where are you, when are you, what does this cost, what does that cost, try to respond to them as quickly as you can, at least that same day, if it's possible. You can run a giveaway, you can have contests, you can run polls, you can start a poll on Facebook. You know what? Let's say you're thinking about doing some sausage. Should I do red chili? Should I do green chili? Should I do both? Should I make it hot? Should I make it mild? And that gets people engaged, and they feel like they're a part of your business. And then an email list beats followers, is what this says. I don't necessarily agree with that. But you do want to turn followers into customers. And that comes from letting them know what you offer, what you charge, when it's available, how it's available. Keep on repeating that information.
I would agree with that only because the algorithms in the metaverse can really squash small people with low numbers of followers.
Oh, you're 100% right.
Yeah, so email is a little more direct. You get right to the person and receive good information.
One thing that I do pretty often, to your point, is I will run a paid ad, because you can throw $5 out there, 10, 20, as much money as you want to. You can go into Business Suite or your business page, and you can run an ad, and you can pick exactly where that ad goes. You can pick an age group, a zip code, a community, and you throw a little bit of money out there, and then it puts that up front. It makes sure your ad is in the front of their faces with a little bit of money. Now, if you have that budget, I do it probably once a month. Let's say I have one of my main crops is microgreens. And so if there's a large harvest, and it's more, because I'm in some retailers, I sell at a few farmers markets, and I sell to some restaurants and the approved supplier program. But if there's an abundance, then maybe I want to run a sale, or I want to deliver extra to a retailer, and then I want that to be able to sell, then I'll want to pay that. Let's say I just want to do Las Vegas. I want to do 24 years of age to 65 years of age. And I want to run it for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. That will put your post right up front, and it'll give it priority over some of these nationwide companies. You can pick all of the United States, you can pick all of New Mexico, you can pick Taos, you can pick Taos and Peñasco and Cuesta. And so that's something to really look into. And if any of y'all need help with even this aspect, anything I'm talking about, if you need my help, get my card. And it's what I'm paid to do, and I enjoy doing it. So New Mexico has a unique advantage. And so, once again, posting into these groups, because sometimes when people travel, let's say they come to Taos, they'll look on Facebook at the local Taos groups, like what's going on this weekend, this week, whatever it may be. And that's a way to sell your product as a part of the culture. You know, the Mexican-raised beef. Are you grass-fed, grass-finished? Not that it matters. Grass-fed, grass-finished, high in omega-3s. You know, you go from slop from Walmart to actually a healthy meat that has nutrients in it. That's a selling point. It's a huge selling point. Of course, Taos in particular, is it the oldest pueblo? Or the oldest continuous community?
Yeah.
1,000+ years? That's a selling point. You're a part of that automatically because you're here. Connecting with other local producers, there's cross-promotion. If there's someone else in Peñasco that you want to team up with and have a farm stand, you know, come and get some grass-fed beef, come and get some fresh carrots, tomatoes, cucumbers, and then you tag their page, they tag your page, now you have a wider audience. Tourism. So if you're reaching tourists and you're able to sell to tourists, well, now you can plan your packaging. You can plan your crops around the tourism, and you can market to the tourists. Anybody passing by, why not stop by your farm stand? And this says using Spanish naturally if it fits your community, and it really can. Just a little thing like amigos, gracias, you know, Nuevo Mexico instead of New Mexico. Little things like that can put a cultural twist on it that will appeal to more people. You can be anything you want to online, as long as the product is right or the service. That always has to stand alone. If the product and the service are right, you can appear to be anything you want to online. You can have people picturing a sprawling 10-acre farm, and you're growing on a 1/4 acre. As long as those crops are right, you're good. You're not telling a lie. You're just letting their imagination run wild through storytelling. So choosing the right platform. Right now, I am only on Facebook and Instagram, but I need to get onto YouTube Shorts. Is growing like wildfire. YouTube Shorts is huge, 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 and I'm missing out, just quite frankly. TikTok, almost everybody on my family is on TikTok, and I don't even have a personal account. I'm not going to say I feel too old for it, but I kind of do. But that's a whole other audience. You're getting 18, 20, 24-year-olds that don't even have Facebook, period. They've got TikTok, they've got Instagram, Snapchat. So that's a whole new audience. But my suggestion is if you haven't really, I'm not going to say mastered, but if you haven't become what you would consider an expert on just the Instagram, Facebook, just start there. Be consistent and then branch out into the other platforms. But if you have a story to tell on YouTube, you could create a YouTube channel. This is how I ranch, this is how I grow. This is how I manage a full-time job and ranching and growing. People love to see that kind of a story. But the thing that sets me back, and maybe you too, is I just think about, oh man, that's not a quality video. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to edit right. Just do it. And then you're just going to get better along the way. And this is something I need to listen to myself in terms of video content. or having myself on video. I'm never on video. It's always me videoing or picturing what I'm trying to post, but there's a whole new audience for having yourself seen with a selfie stick or a tripod. So the sky is completely the limit when it comes to social media. And one thing that I've noticed in agriculture, like I've said before, there's not enough people doing it, and they're missing out. Content ideas that work, seasonal spotlights, that's a huge one. Try to build a little buzz, I'm a week away from harvesting tomatoes for the first time. Heirloom, delicious, whatever it may be. The stories, recipes are really, really big. Like let's say you're gonna have an overabundance of carrots, and you do a little video about pickling carrots. You do a little video about a recipe that has a lot of carrots, or whatever the crop may be. Recipes is really, really big. Market updates, behind the scenes, and customers love to see reviews, photos, the kind words that are in your comments. So that the engagement builds a lot of traction. So shop now, order ahead, join our email list, visit the farm, DM. These are all really, really good text to have relevant or prominent in your post. I try to post a minimal amount of words, because if you post a paragraph, it's hardly going to be read, and then have the most important information at the top. Coming soon, Friday at 4 p.m. Buy our product at SIDS, at the Taos Farmers Market, whatever it may be. The time, the price, what it is, get that out of the way at the very, very top, because a lot of people are not going to read it through. And if y'all want to see any of my posts, I mean, it's nothing impressive, but Bamboo Farms LLC is my farm, and then Tesoros del Valle is the farmers market that I started in the valley.
What was the market?
Tesoros del Valle, Treasures of the Valley.
Where is that at? Is that in?
It's in the Villanueva Valley. Have you ever been to Villanueva State Park?
No, I don't know where that is.
So in between Santa Fe and Las Vegas, up I-25,
Yeah,
the State Road 3, you'll take a right.
okay,
If you're headed from Santa Fe,
yeah.
you'll take a right, and that State Road 3 is something that we call El Valle.
Okay.
And so, Treasures of the Valley, Tesoros del Valle. So, your action plan this week would be a pickup platform. Clean up your profile. Something that really common is people don't size their profile picture and their banner correctly, so it's distorted or you can't see it without opening it. And that's something that AI can do for you, or Photoshop, or there's several ways to do it, but there's a certain dimension that is best to just view it without having to click on it. Take 5 photos of your farm this week. Don't overthink it, like I said. Take a picture and post it. Just get in the habit of just doing that. Write a post about who you are and why it is that you farm. You can tag, use 3 to 5 hashtags. So there's tagging and there's hashtagging. That's 2 different things. I rarely hashtag, I need to do more of it. New Mexico Strong, Peñasco, Taos, visit Taos, Taos farmers, support your small farm. The sky's the limit on hashtags. And a hashtag is where a person can click on this, and then anyone who's ever used this hashtag, their post will be in there. And so that's really what a hashtag is. Respond to every comment within 24 hours, and then come back next week and do it again. And then lastly, the best time to start was last year. The second best time to start is today. So once again, I can help you with any of this. I can walk you through it. I can share my experience. And I can tell you that social media has been the whole difference in any business that I've ever been in. It's been social media has been how I built it. And then the product, like I said, it has to stand alone as quality product or service. But as long as that's right, you'll build momentum. You'll build popularity. And it's sometimes the only way to get out in front. Taking out newspaper ads, radio ads, that, I'm not going to say it's irrelevant because it's not, but social media is where it's at. I was at a conference last week, and this is just an example, but Joe Rogan, who I don't really do podcasts much, but just as an example of where people get their information, he has more followers, more people view him than CNN, Fox News, and the other major combined by a large, large margin. And so I'm not bragging about Joe Rogan, but I'm just telling you, people get their information on their phones now. And when it comes to news, advertising, anything, it's super important.
I think it would be great to hear your experience, but little plug too. A few weeks ago, we had a meat marketing workshop. So if you're curious to learn more, there was a large-scale rancher, and she was really focused on her dad's ranch was producing the meat, and she was focused on selling it online, and she started that as a separate business, kind of buying the product from him and selling it online and then marketing it online. So that was one kind of perspective. The other perspective, not saying that that won't be helpful, but the other perspective is the Martinez family ranch here in Taos, and how they market primarily using social media. And I think, you know, they would be the first to tell you that they don't have it all figured out, but I actually think that they're, for somebody that just started marketing online, just seeing their content is inspirational. And you know, so it's on our YouTube page, on TCEDC. This will be up there too. But it's cool to hear them and hear their ideas for how they create content, how they bank the content, because there's, you know, the elder Martinez who runs the ranch, his son helps, but he doesn't live in Taos. He lives, I think, in Albuquerque, outside of Albuquerque, and he drives up here to help sometimes. But the marketing is really done from their homes away from the ranch. So when they're here, they bank a lot of content. And his daughter lives in Dallas, and so they're always collaborating to help their dad out. It's just an example of, you know, a generational ranch that's trying to make it work with where the family is. So, good ideas there.
That's exact. I can't oversell the importance. It can be the difference between not doing enough business and being very busy.
Yeah, they get a lot of online orders, and you know, they do pickups and stuff. They're not shipping to people. That's a whole nother business.
Oh yes, exactly.
But they are getting a lot of people that contact them because they've seen their content online.
You can have a link to your website
Absolutely.
on your page.
Yeah, and their website is nothing complicated. So just a good idea and some inspiration for
You can have an e-commerce
local
website for $20 a month
Yeah,
where
absolutely.
people can order, pay.
Yep.
You get paid right away, and then
Yeah.
you can have them arrange delivery. You can tell them where to pick up.
Yeah.
All of this is it puts you on a whole different level.
Yeah.
From very local, only word of mouth,
Yeah.
to being in front of thousands of eyes every single day.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very, the website, I can help you with websites, I can help you with any of this. Because that's, our rural areas, we're losing all of our youth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our youth is already taught, hey, when you turn 18, you're going to go to the big city, you're going to do 4 years of college, and you're never going to come back until you just come to visit.
Yeah.
But we need to have some of our youth community members realize that there's opportunities to make money in very small towns. And Taos is not, Taos, what is the population, double or triple during vacations? You got Texans and Oklahomans, which,
Yeah.
let's face it, they don't know how to drive, and they bug, right? But they pump a lot of money into the community and sell to them. Sell to them.
Yeah.
When they're camping, sell them meat to go grill.
I think there's that idea of agritourism too, is
Yes,
people love to visit a place and take something back with them too. So if you can have some sort of product from your farm that travels well. And I know that's hard with meat, but maybe you start making jerky, like who knows?
Right.
Just like down the line, there's something, that's the best souvenir, something that you could eat later.
And people that go on vacation, generally, when I go on vacation, like, I'm swiping that card.
Yeah. Vacation money
I'm
isn't
throwing
real,
money.
right?
I'm
Yeah.
throwing money like I got it, right? I get to go home and be broke for a
Yeah,
month or two, but I
yeah,
live it up on vacation. I
Yeah.
buy local stuff,
yeah.
and I worry about the bills later, you know? And so,
And we are seeing a hunger for people learning about actual cultures and not just coming in here and, doing whatever and shopping at the same old stores.
is there agricultural tourism happening in Pindusco?
No, not really.
Is
Where
there
are you
farm?
We have like a farm.
You're from the Pueblo, okay, great.
So you
Well,
probably
so
don't
you know,
know.
I mean, yeah, most of our cultural tourism revolves around the Pueblo.
And I know that's a whole different,
That's a whole different.
when you're dealing with a Pueblo,
Yeah,
they probably want to do it themselves, and that makes sense to me. But there's a lot outside of the Pueblo to see. There's a lot of history in Peñasco where people can go on their phone. I was just talking to you about this, where
yeah,
they download an app and they pay to do a tour, and then it tells them, even if there's
Yeah.
not phone signal, if you pull over to your right, this is a historic area because of this, that, or the other.
yeah.
Maybe they go to a ranch or a farm and they get fed some lunch, and
Mhm.
that farmer or that rancher, they get paid some money off of that.
Yeah.
And so it's a way to make some extra income
Mhm.
without a huge investment, and that's something that I do for Center Southwest Culture as well.
Oh, good. I'm gonna link you up with somebody that's trying to grow their agritourism. You might actually know Carlos or Glenn, but,
I don't.
okay, well, we'll
Well, I
link
have
you
met
up.
them,
He wanted to watch this video. He was very sad he couldn't make it because.
but. Oh, Carlos was, you know
You
what?
know Carlos. He got a grant that he had to be on a Zoom for today.
Yes, he was on a workshop I did last night for the
Sure.
Acequia Association.
Oh, yes, of course. There you go.
And I told him, please call me.
Carlos is amazing. We work with Carlos a lot, but yeah, he's trying to do more agritourism.
I would love to help him.
His farm and ranch is amazing. And again, it's not big, but he's slowly over the years
Right.
putting together a system where you could have events in the barn, you could, so,
And
yeah,
some people have one big impressive operation and they can be the only stop, right?
yeah,
But you can have 3, 4
yeah,
smaller operations that still have a story to tell. And your property is probably beautiful, but you don't know because you see it every single day, right?
right,
But to other people, I bet you it was impressive.
absolutely.
Feed them a little bit of lunch and charge a little bit of money, make a little bit of money. As a nonprofit, we don't expect to make a profit off of the agricultural tourism that we help create.
Mhm.
It's about the people and the stops and the food providers, all of them making some money.
Absolutely, and as TCEDC, I will say, this is what we're here for. Same, we're not here to make money. We are here to help the community, that's all we're about. So if you have an idea, and like I think you missed this part, but Jason, when he started a food business, RED, Mercedes Rodriguez, helped with all the paperwork. Like, that's what we do. We have a commercial kitchen, we help with paperwork. We have a great culinary director that started about a year ago now with us. So she's amazing. She's actually working with an incubator program. So if you saw those people walking in, I mean, that is a concentrated culinary business program that they're running right now. But we're here to help with your businesses. And if we don't know the answer, we know who to call. So if you have anything that you're wondering about with your farm, your ranch, your food businesses, come to us, talk to us, call us. It's always open door policy, email us, we'll always set up an appointment. If you just want to, shoot some ideas at us and we'll give you feedback. And like, that's what we're here for, is just to help any way we can. Because collectively, nobody knows everything, but I think collectively we have a lot of knowledge.
And this organization in particular is extra helpful because I've called community kitchens there's one at Luna College in Las Vegas and there's one in Santa Fe. There's probably several. But they were not like TCEDC. Mercedes was like 10 a.m. Monday, we'll sit down. We would do a few things. She would send me with some homework. I'd come back a week later. Before you knew it, we had everything that we needed, from inspection to our paperwork, our I's were dotted, our T's were crossed. Other places, they're just like, yeah, you can come pick up a packet and then you just bring it and you turn it back in. And a lot of that stuff can be intimidating.
Absolutely.
It really
And so
can.
that's with the kitchen, but also with a lot of our farmers and ranchers who are interested in finding grants to cover some of these improvements that you want to do on your property. Those grants can be really intimidating as well. And that's where we come in as well. Come to us. We know grants inside and out. Maybe not me personally, but Mercedes has decades of experience writing grants. And I mean, obviously, I am a writer. I know how to communicate. I'm happy to edit things for you. But in terms of going through the system of the actual grant process, I mean, that woman's brain is incredible. So come to us. That's what we're here for. And I don't think that enough people know. Like, we're trying to scream from the rooftops, come to us. And I get it, people are busy. But yeah, just come hang out and talk. We love it. That's how we connect. We prefer to connect face to face and just go through your ideas and how we can help you.
Grant writing is enormous.
Huge.
My small farm without grants, I wouldn't be where I am.
Yeah.
And grant writing it's something, there's more to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna wanna say, this is how I'm helping my community.
Yeah.
If you just say, hey, I need this 50 grand because I wanna make more
Yeah.
money,
You have to tell a story.
you gotta tell a story. You gotta be helping those around you as well. And the more grants that you write, the more that you'll get approved for. There's only a certain percentage of yeses that you're gonna get. But of course, you write no grants, then of course, you're never gonna get any grant money.
Since we were talking about taxes, do you know how does funding projects on your farm or ranch with grants affect taxes?
So most grants will be considered income.
Okay.
They will be considered income, but still, think about it like this. Let's say you get 100 grand, just for a number. Let's say you get 10 grand. If the IRS wants 2 of that, you still got 8 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just know that ahead of time. Know it ahead of time, set it aside, and then you're going to be okay. You know, but it will count as income almost all the time, but still, it's income. It's a kickstart to a hoop house
Mm-hmm.
or some processing, or the sky's the limit on what it is that you may need.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're not a structured business, most grants aren't going to be available to you. And I can help you, like I said, from step 1 to step 10. All right, cool, you're an LLC. Let's go. You know, there's Grant Watch websites that you get alerts. You get emails about available grants. Some of the grants cross state lines. There's some Colorado grants that you can get. There's some Arizona grants that you can get. Plenty of New Mexican and nationwide grants too.
And we're also happy to, if you don't know quite where to start with grants, but you have an idea, you can come to us and we can sit down and say, you know what you're describing sounds like it could be under this grant. So we're happy to match you up too, so that, because I get it, your time is precious, you're working on the ranch, a lot of you have other jobs. But use us as a resource, please. That's what we're here for.
Do you coordinate with the Lord Foundation at all?
Well, that's funny because we sometimes get funding from the Lord Foundation, but we can certainly, so we know that grant very well. We know the folks that work there, so we can certainly make that connection. Yeah.
The good thing about some grants is that some grants will only give to new people every time. So then that gives you better odds. The Healthy Food Finance Grant, which is one that I've been able to benefit from, I got it in 2024. I cycled it right, and I got it again this year because I successfully did what I said I was going to do and submitted all the receipts, spent the money like I said I was going to. This year I came up eligible again. I was able to get it again for a larger amount.
Mm-hmm.
So there's tons of grants. And the more of a business that you are, the better odds that you have of getting a grant. They're not going to want to be like, let's take a gamble on this person. They just started, they're not really doing nothing. Let's give them 50 grand, let's give them 10 grand. They're going to be more likely this person has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
They're improving from month to month, from year to year.
Yeah.
Why not help them continue? They're going to want to invest in something solid.
Yeah, and you have to have a vision. I think that's
Sure.
that you can communicate.
Absolutely. Does anyone have any questions or want me to cover anything else?
Is there a sweet spot to that grant? Like, are they gonna want to see, like, they're profiting X amount this year and they're growing? Or
They're usually not gonna really ask those questions, although if you have impressive numbers to report, you certainly wanna say that. I've been able to go from 50,000 to 100,000. Here's why I'm bottlenecked, and here's what's preventing me to go to 150, to go to 2. And you can tell that story. Here's how I'm gonna benefit my community. There's gonna be healthy food accessible to my highly rural community who is low income, and the nearest shopping is at Walmart. Here's why I'm benefiting my community. They're gonna wanna hear more of that than how it's gonna affect you, but the good thing about it is the more you sell, the more money you're making. So it's automatically benefiting you as well. But you don't wanna just tell that story, or it'll be rare to get approved. There's a lot of research online you can do, but I can help you with that too. I do grant writing for Center of Southwest Culture, TCEDC. You know, nobody's gonna be like, oh, I'm applying for that same grant, so I'm not gonna help them. You know, it's rare. It's not gonna happen that way.
Yeah.
But grants are enormous.
Any other questions? While you have Jason's attention, grill him about
Anything.
anything.
Even if I haven't even talked about it. I've probably been through it, or else I'm gonna learn it for the next people, and I'll get back to you. We already know about the animals on the hoof. We already know about the,
Bison and quail.
what's that?
Bison and quail.
The bison and quail, but you also have the holding account. I need to write this stuff down.
I know, I was taking notes too.
Oh, you were?
Yes.
Okay, good. Do you mind sending them to me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Holding account, bison and quail, animals on the hoof, taxation. Remind me of yours. You had a question.
I can't remember exactly. Was,
I'll find it on the video.
I think it was something about, like, at what point do you move into a corporation, right? Was that it? Was that the one?
I don't.
We had a couple of things that
Right.
were like,
Gosh, how horrible.
that's okay, I don't remember.
But I need to look into all the little nuances of
Yeah.
holding account. You know, the succession planning is something that is a lot more people are talking about, regardless of your age. Don't think you need to be 50, 60, 70, because anything can happen to us, literally when we leave here. And so it's important at any age. If you have any assets at all, it's good to have some kind of a plan, especially if it's multiple people or multiple family members involved. If something were to happen to you, or you have people arguing, oh, it's my land, I used to help them more than you, and I used to go visit more than you, or whatever it may be, black and white, you know, you can't beat it.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So when say you're filing for an LLC,
Mm-hmm.
you have to declare exactly what your business is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you gotta like hyper focus on it? Do like I produce beef, or is there like a generalized kind of
There is.
how do you approach that? So say like at the ranch, like I have a lot of equipment maintenance, so all of the things that aren't directly cows, right? Like
Right.
tractors, balers, and there's some things that are very obviously like tax write-offs or.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have other things that aren't so, it's a little more black and white there, that you can claim for the business, right? Wellness, products, gears. Do you kind of create a big kind of generalized, my LLC does X, Y, Z, or do you just say, all right, I don't do cows?
No, I would say just agriculture. Leave yourself open to growing, ranching, because what are you thinking of doing next year, year after, year after? I would cover all of those things. Now, if you're going off into a completely different industry, that can get, as long as it feeds the agriculture, my understanding, you know better than me, is if it's an expenditure that has to do with anything that you do under that, then you do have a write-off.
Keep good records.
Right.
Keep your, the thing is you don't have to, describe your business or your operation so that the expenses fit in under that description, what you have to do is say, this is my business, and you have to have a justification for the expense, right? So if it's an expense that might seem outside of the bounds of that description, make a note on your receipt or your invoice or what, paperwork, just type it into Word and print it out and put it in your files, because it's not about, does it fit, it's about, do you have a justification for it?
There you go.
Makes
Right.
sense? Auditor's gonna say, well, you bought these 2 tires, you know, could have been tires for your Camaro, right, or your whatever, Corvette, but you know, you put that note on there, these tires were for my work truck, or for my, whatever, my farm truck. Then you've got a justification.
Even like, let's say you want to plan a vacation that coincides with the conference. What I've heard people do is they will do the plane ticket there, they'll do it back, they'll do the nights at the hotel that they actually attended the conference. But if they did another 5 days and they sightsee and everything else, well, they leave that out of it. They leave
And the food that you bought,
Exactly.
the little tchotchkes or whatever, but whatever is related to that actual workshop, separate that out in, you know, on your books, so to speak, or in your files.
your work boots, you know,
Yeah.
generally speaking, mileage, no, not generally speaking, especially now, your mileage is going to be a lot better than right now for the receipts of gasoline, which you can't do both. You can't
Well,
have.
I keep both, because.
Do you write off both?
No,
Okay.
no, I let my tax preparer give her the information, I say, this is our mileage, here's my actual expenses, and I let her.
Because mileage is like 72 cents a mile, 70 cents a
It's
mile.
70.
Took a huge
Just
jump.
looked it up.
It went from
Yeah,
50 something to
It's
70.
like 75 cents a mile,
So the mileage
26.
is a really big write-off, and there's apps, there's phone apps.
Mhm.
You can hit start, and then it GPS is everything, and you hit stop when you're done.
Well, or you keep a mileage log.
Right.
That's the other thing, they have booklets you can buy on Amazon or whatever.
Mhm.
Your beginning mileage, your ending mileage, and why you made the trip.
Mhm.
Right.
That's your justification right
Mileage is enormous. It can be many, many thousands,
there.
and it's overlooked too. Write-offs in general are overlooked. Your boots, your mileage, you know, some clothing, I mean, just so many things, so many
We
things.
have a livestock guardian dog, and we feed him some raw chicken every day as part of his diet. We write off the chicken we buy for him.
And you're not even being sneaky, you're
He's
not.
a livestock guardian dog.
That's so
He
sweet.
lives with
Right.
livestock.
And it's kind of like the trap I got into is, like, sole proprietor, so I'm a registered nurse. I provide nursing, I'm a contractor. So
Okay.
Nursing services. But it's such a bottleneck when it comes down to, like, what I can write off, right? But like, you write off pens, maybe a laptop once a year, some scrubs, you know?
Mhm.
And so where I found my best case is like, do I need, you know, an F-250 to drive to see patients? No, but it weighs over 6,000 pounds and it gives me the highest
Well,
percentage.
you live in Penasco?
Yeah.
Getting to some of those patients could be difficult if you don't have a four-wheel drive
Right, right,
vehicle, right?
Right, and it's like, there are smaller trucks that are cheaper,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but at the end of the day, you know, I can buy say a Ford Ranger for $35,000.
Right.
But I can depreciate it at $10,000 a year for 5 years.
Mhm.
You know, I'm better off finding something slightly used, but it has to weigh over 6,000 pounds, so Ranger does it, you know, so it's,
Right.
Well,
it's kind of funny because my
for-
business truck is a F-250.
yeah.
So
Well,
if I have all if I have all your info, I'll record a Zoom with a CPA. What was the other suggestion?
A lawyer, a business, like a lawyer that works on setting up businesses.
Setting up
I don't know
businesses.
what to call it. It's not usually a corporate lawyer, but it's a business, whatever.
And I'll share that info with everyone, because it's great questions.
Yeah.
I could say, look, well, this is the scenario. I'm a rancher, I'm doing 60,000 a year, this is my market, what would you do? Oh, well, I do an LLCS corp, okay, cool. And there's different scenarios, there'll probably be different answers, dozens of different answers, based on situations. You have a very unique situation, you've got several businesses, plus you work professionally, and that's gonna be unique to yourself, but you're a nurse and you're a rancher. So I mean,
And that's the hard part, is like I've been funding the ranch, the only way it's going is I use my income to fund it. There ain't no money cows, And so that was kind of one of my big interests, is like how can I have a lot of overhead costs, but I can't necessarily write it off in my current structure, so I definitely need something to.
You should keep your ranch expenses separate anyway.
Right.
Like you should split them however that works out for you, because there is that Schedule F.
Right.
If you're not making money, that Schedule F though could mean a lot
Okay.
to your tax return.
Right.
So if your tax preparer is not doing that Schedule F, you need to get all your ranch expenses together and say, make sure you file a Schedule F.
So I will make that a priority, to learn all of these answers.
And
I'm gonna
then,
leave you a few cards each in
the other
case you know
thing,
someone.
like I thought of something, like, you buy a huge box of Band-Aids, because we go through this at our place.
Thank you.
You might use some of those Band-Aids for your nursing work, but you could write off half of that box on your ranch, because you know you can cut yourself.
Right.
You're gonna need a Band-Aid.
No,
So,
that's a lot of help.
so I write that right on my receipts or my invoices. Yep, I write it all, file it, don't throw anything
I can give you
away.
guys my card too.
I'm a former corporate auditor.
Can I have
so I'm a
Okay.
big believer in not throwing anything away.
Right. And that's the thing, is like,
Oh, perfect.
it's hard getting everybody in my generation to do this anymore, because there's not a lot of money in it. Like it's, especially like the Hispanics around here, what happened was, a lot of them started with 50 to 100 acres.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had 12 kids, and they split those 100 acres between 12 kids, and they had 12 kids each. And what we're also running into there is, you'll get an adobe house on half an acre, beautiful adobe house, cash price $60,000. Worth it all day long. But the locals can't afford to pay $60,000 cash. A bank won't finance you because the septic system is in up
Right.
to par.
Right.
So you get someone from the outside come in, buy this super cheap house, dump 20 grand in the septic system, all of a sudden that building house will be $400,000.
Right. And then the land taxes all around the
And
world.
it's constantly happening up there,
And then they start making calls, we need to paint the stop sign, it's a little bit faded. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
We see it.
It's a struggle, it's.
Well, it's gentrification. And it doesn't have to mean, it doesn't mean any race moving in, it's just people with more money moving in, driving up land taxes, changing everything. And I've seen a lot of that even in Dixon.
Oh yeah,
Big.
Dixon's changed big time, been 20, 30 years.
Right. Dixon has changed a lot. The community I live in, just like you're saying, the landowner ages out. None of the kids want to live there. They've already long moved. Nobody wants to farm on there. They're losing irrigation rights. And they're worried about when they pass, so then they sell. And there's no shortage of people from, say, let's just say California, where a piece of land that's going to cost 100 grand to them is nothing. Because you put that in California and it's $1 million. But then to us, it's out of reach.
Yeah.
So it goes to whoever has the money.
I think a lot of that stopped at the end of the pandemic.
It did, it was really bad.
Because when the interest rates were still lower, people were like, woo, I got all this money, and they could sell their places out in California or New York or wherever. And right now, it's such a mushy market, it's like.
It's still happening in the valley. There's more, most of the people that were willing to just sell to the highest bidder have already done it. So there's more people that are like, if it's not a certain type of person, I'm not selling. But if they're hard up for money, sometimes they're just like,
Yeah,
I have to.
they'll do it.
I'd rather my kid move here, but they don't want to, so I'm gonna just have to sell. And that is what makes me just sad, because maybe that piece of land's been in their family for 500 years,
Yeah.
a few hundred years, whatever. And now it's gone. That's really sad.
It is.
Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate all of you.
Thank you very much.
Please reach out to me,
Yes.
because I would be happy to help.
Okay.
Thank you for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. My son lives out here, or he lives in Hondo, and he's about to take his real estate test.
Who's your son?